Welcome back to episode 12 of the Family Only Run. The family's still cleaning up from the last raid, but before they get everything hauled away, Arlland's had a growth moment. He's turning 7 years old today, and this will be his first growth moment. Unfortunately, he only gets 2 passions, and doesn't have too many trade choices. Luckily, the trade is an easy choice. Definitely taking tough on this one. Let's go ahead and give him plants and mining as well. That way he can help out Wallace with the plant work, and then we can train him to be one of our main mining colonists. Looks like Brigand has just finished a new sculpture. This time he's working with jade, and even at normal quality, this thing has a massive amount of beauty. He's named it Expression, but it doesn't actually express very much. A barbarian eating a lentil. Not lentils plural, just one. Just one lentil. A crazy historian watches over all while frowning. Yeah, I can see that part. That makes sense. Well, at least it's beautiful. Let's throw this in the throne room, start working on getting the impressiveness up. Fabrication tech has just finished, so they're getting close to in-game technology. From here on out, they should be able to get quite a bit stronger with all this technology that they have at their disposal now. Let's go ahead and research advanced fabrication right away, so they'll be able to craft both components and advanced components. Next up, we need to build a fabrication bench. Luckily, we already collected the 2 advanced components we need. So now, it'll just be a matter of getting the 200 steel and getting to work. Brigand has finished his second jade statue, and although this one isn't quite as high quality, it does have a bit more of an elaborate description. It's called Wallace with White. This carving bears an artwork of Wallace closing Smother's difficulty near the heart for the last time. A satisfied smile gracing his face under the soft glow of a reading lamp. Wallace is forever changed by the teachings of this book, with a weird name. He made a statue of his brother finishing a book. I guess that's an occasion that they want to remember? I guess. Things were getting a little too peaceful around here, and the Decay Wasters have arrived to remind the family that most of this planet wants them dead. This time it's a siege. That ought to be fun. Let's send Jake out to call in that airstrike. And it misses wide by a mile. Alright, time to just call in the mortar strikes. And those hit with perfect accuracy. I'm not sure mortars are supposed to have way better accuracy than a drone strike, but I'll take it. It did enough damage to force the raiders to charge towards the colony. Only about 2/3 of the raiders are still up, so this shouldn't be too tough to clean up. Let's go ahead and call in Empire reinforcements, just in case. Okay, admittedly, that was completely overkill, but oh well, at least everyone in the family is safe. That's the most important thing. Let's take a prisoner for gene extraction, and then we can invite the Empire in for a nutrient-based meal. We've switched over to using growth vats for birthing children, but we still have to extract ovum in order to create embryos to put into the vat. Is anyone else a bit disturbed that Jake fertilizes the ovum right in the middle of the hospital? Come on, man. Have some decency. Well, anyway, the next embryo is ready for growth. Let's get food in the machine, pop that thing in there. All set. Now in 9 days, the next baby should be born. Now that they've got more barrels for mortars, they need to fill out the rest of the mortar room. 4 mortars total should do the trick, so let's get the 3rd built, then work on the 4th. Next up, Jane has just turned 13 and is officially considered an adult. She's got a lot of passing choices, but unfortunately her traits are not that great. At least she can pick Careful Shooter. As for passions, let's go with artistic, plants, intellectual, and animals. She's mostly going to be on construction duty, but she already has a double passion for that, so the rest of these are just extra. There's not enough clothing for her already made, so Amelia's going to have to get to work making a new outfit. Alright, there we go. Now she just needs some more armor, and she'll be all set. Well, this is a bit of an unforeseen development. Amelia has become pregnant again. I'm pretty sure I have her set to avoid pregnancy, but I guess that wasn't enough. We're gonna have to take extra steps to make sure this doesn't happen again in the future. For the most part, we really just want to be using that growth vat for children, so Amelia can continue to be a useful colonist. When a pawn becomes pregnant, they become far too vulnerable in the second and third trimester. Now that the growth vat is going to be the primary means of creating children, they'll no longer be able to rely on lactation to feed the babies. Well, since Amelia's pregnant again, in the short term they'd be able to, but in the long term the plan is for them to stop, so they'll need a supply of baby food to keep the babies fed. At some point in the near future, it would be nice to get a second vat going, so that one can be for creating new children, and the other for speeding their growth to age 3. At that point we won't need much baby food, but for now, let's make sure we have a decent supply. Gleb has just turned 10 years old. These growth moments are going to become much more common, with so many children growing up in the colony. Let's give him medical, mining, intellectual, and crafting. As for the trait, there are not a lot of great options, but at least there's optimist. His passions are kind of all over the place at the moment, so there's a lot of directions we could take him in terms of his job in the colony. For now, he's going to be on plant duty, but maybe later, we can use him to support Amelia in crafting. Well, beavers have arrived. This is a bit of a problem since there's not many trees for them to eat on arid shrubland. The anima tree is protected by walls, so we don't really need to worry about that. But there's not a huge supply of trees inside the walls, so we'll need to take out these beavers before they eat too many. I think I'm going to try out the alternative method for making sure there's always clothing available for new colonists. Previously, I was increasing the amount of total clothing, including equipped, but let's start having them only check a single stockpile for an available piece. I'll set up 3 shelves, one for shirts, one for pants, and one for dusters. Each one will only allow 60% or higher durability. It will be used for the build to check to see if there's new clothing available. If there's not, then a new piece will be crafted. To make new clothing, the colony's going to need new textile coming in. They've been actively hunting dromedary and other harmless creatures, but they don't provide the best leather. Camel hide's okay, since it has great heat protection, but we want something with a bit better sharp protection. Rhino leather is great for sharp protection, so the poor rhino on the map are going to have to die. Does this make us poachers? At least the family will use the entire animal. Three rhinos should provide quite a bit of leather and meat. That should work for now. They're starting to demand that a ritual statue be added to the temple. We don't have a temple yet, and the ritual statue will cost 400 resources. There's no way we can afford that right now. We could probably get away with building a temple, but the only real option here is to reform the ideology and choose a ritual statue that requires less resources. Time to start using the rituals on cooldown, at least until we can reform again. First off is a social festival. Boring. Not off to a great start. Let's try again with a dance party and see how that goes. Okay, good. That one was fun. At least that'll add 1 point towards reform. A bulk goods trader has arrived from Yulia. They've been really great about sending regular trading caravans to keep the family supplied. Let's grab this cape for Jake. We may as well pick up this sweet rug for the dining room. Truth be told, I'm not entirely sure what the difference between carpet and a rug is, but at least with the rug there's no extra installation required. Before this trade caravan leaves, there is one more thing we can use them for. Let's open up this ancient danger, see what kind of treasures are waiting for us. They can punch a hole in this wall and then lure the enemies back to the traders. Let the caravan handle most of the trouble. Oh, it's just a few mechs. Shouldn't be too bad. Now that most of the mechs are down, let's also pop up from these crypto sleep caskets, just in case they're raiders. Yep, they're raiders. Please help me, traders. They're all hopped up on go juice and taking a ton of damage. Alright, better fall back. Let the caravan take the damage until they run away. The Crypto Sleep soldiers took an absolutely massive amount of damage before going down, but at least that's taken care of. Let's see what kind of loot we got. Advanced components. Well, it's not great, but at least it'll be useful later on. Well, I suppose in the end things balance out. Something good happens with the Ancient Danger, and then something bad happens with the Gut Worms. Gleb, Jake, Amelia, and Victor have all been infected. We don't need to worry too much about Victor getting over it, since he's just a baby. Spends most of his time sleeping anyway. Gleb, Jake, and Amelia, on the other hand, are going to have to deal with the pain and food penalties until we can get this thing fully treated. At least it's not the plague. And while we're dealing with that, the alpha beavers have decided to strike. This one is pretty easy to clean up, but it does remind me that there are still several alpha beavers on the map that need to be dealt with. Let's go hunt for the rest of them, save the trees. Alpha beavers sure are a nuisance. Attack one, attack them all, I guess. On the bright side, now that they're all aggroed, it'll be a lot easier to clean them up. Another bulk goods trader has arrived, and again, it's from Yulia. They sure do love sending bulk goods traders. We can sell off all this animal meat, as well as the extra clothing that's just sitting around. It's really not worth much, but at least it does clear out some space. I think I'm also going to sell some pigs. In exchange, let's grab another mortar barrel. It looks like the next child has been born. This time it's a healthy vat birth. It feels a little strange growing children in vats, but I bet Amelia is thankful to be done with pregnancies. Well, almost done with pregnancies. This child's going to be named Ollie, after Ollie the... well, after no one, but Ollie's a good name. So this room in the southwest corner of the base was going to be a bedroom, but I realized we're at the point now where we desperately need that temple. So I think it's finally time to build one. We can start with the ideogram. We'll also have to get them their special statue, but it's going to be up to Brigand to sculpt later. Even with the wall torn out, the room is a bit small, but hopefully it'll be big enough in the end. I guess I missed some alpha beavers previously. Let's once and for all clear out the rest of these things. Okay, maybe not for all, since they'll come back whenever they feel like, but at least once and for now. One problem replaces another. Now a mech cluster has landed on the map. This time with a defoliator. Luckily it came with only a few mechs and only one beacon. If we can just clear out the mechs, the rest of the cluster will be much easier to finish off. Brigand can take the sniper rifle out and lure the mechs to the base. Alright, they're attacking. Let's hold them at the first choke point. Wow, this went way worse than I anticipated. Definitely should have used the EMP grenades. I thought they could just burn them down fast enough to not matter, but nope. Instead, Jake has taken massive damage. Jane got hit by friendly fire, and now Wallace is lit on fire. Now that they grabbed the EMP grenades, everything's going much smoother. Should have just used those things from the start. Well, thankfully no one died, and everyone's tended up. Now we just need to finish off the rest of the cluster. Brigand can bring smoke, and Walls can use the grenades. Same tactics as before. Smoke covers the approach and stops the turret from locking on, and Walls does the damage with the grenades. Just an easy cleanup. Lately in this run, it's been jumping from one problem to another. This time the mech cluster gets finished and an infestation occurs. There wasn't even enough time for the colonists to heal up their wounds. And to make things even better, Brigand is mentally broken. At least there's only a few insects. The insects did get completely distracted by the turret. That's good. Unfortunately, it's taking too much damage. I'm gonna have to shut it down. Jake was in the worst place possible, especially for someone who was already damaged. At least he went down quick and didn't take any permanent wounds. Alright, somebody go save Jake. Fast forwarding a couple days here. Jake has had a little bit of time to heal, but he's still not back at full health. Luckily, everyone else is healed up and back to work. An Imperial trader has arrived. At least it's a break from those constant bulk goods traders coming by. Maybe they'll have something interesting. Oh nice, a coagulator. That could be pretty good. It speeds up the rate that bleeds stop. Now the trick is going to be trading enough to actually afford this thing. I'll have to give them a lot, but I bet it'll be worth it in the end. The plan is to install the implant on Jake. Wallace is going to have to take charge of the surgery since Jake can't install it into himself. It'd be a lot cooler if he could. It was probably a bit risky to have him install it with only Medical 7, but it did work. And he got an extra level of medical on top of it. Not too shabby. Finally, advanced fabrication is finished. Now all they need is deep drilling, and then they'll be able to make as many components as they possibly need. Let's get neural superchargers next, before they get too upset about not having them. Jumping to a different ongoing project here. For a while now they've needed to expand their dining room. Since there's not a lot of space to expand into, the only option is going to be to take out one of these hallways and incorporate it into the dining room. The hall in front of the bedroom should work out nicely. They'll need to take out this cooler and move it to the space of the chimney, but that should be easy. The only downside of doing it this way is that the colonists may choose to pass through the dining room as the fastest route, causing unnecessary filth to accumulate. If that does happen, they can have one of the children clean it up. In order to break in the new dining room, they decided to have a party. At least it's not as cramped now. One thing they can get working on next is to upgrade their clothing to make sure that everything is at least a moderate level of sharp protection. There's a few more rhinos down here that they could hunt and use the leather. And of course, they all immediately aggro on the hunters and are charging straight at them. I guess it's a little bit of payback from earlier. At least there is a caravan up here that can help. Uh-oh. One of them got trapped in between the airlock doors. The caravan can handle the rest, but this one the family's going to have to take care of. Well, there's a lot of blood, but at least that's taken care of. And just as the traders are leaving, a mech attack has arrived. Oh, fantastic. At least on their way out, they engaged a few of the mechs. That should make things a little bit easier. I'm going to start a caravan. It isn't to run, but it does allow me to force the pawns to pick up items in their inventory. I'm going to have one of them pick up EMP grenades so they can still carry their weapon and swap between the two. Let's also get Jake on the mortar. Try to do a little bit of damage before they attack. Well, that did not do much. And now they're on their way. Well, this choke point worked fantastically. They funneled in one at a time, or easy enough to pick off. The colonists did take a little bit of damage, but nothing permanent. Now the neural supercharger tech is ready. So we just need to make sure that we have enough electricity and food in order to consistently be running the buff. It increases their consciousness and learning rate, but it increases their hunger rate by 20%. So they'll be eating more food as long as they have the buff. On top of that, each unit takes 400 power to maintain, so we'll need to make sure we're producing plenty of surplus electricity. A massive horde of guinea pigs has invaded the colony. Looks like no one's going to be going outside anytime soon. Maybe we'll get lucky again. Raiders will attack in time to deal with the problem. Otherwise, the family's just going to be hanging out inside for a while. Okay, now hopefully Amelia's going to be done with pregnancies. The newest baby's on the way. The new baby boy is going to be named Peter. Welcome to the colony, Peter. Now they have 2 brand new babies that they're going to have to take care of. Hopefully they both grow up to be strong colonists. That's the end of episode 12. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for updates on all future videos. For those of you who made it all the way to the end, please consider checking out my Patreon to help support the creation of more videos like this one. You'll find the link in the description below. Thanks for watching, and see you for the next one.